and it's such a privilege at any point in time to work with my mentor Chris Fowowe and his organization and the larger work that he does for society. And I want to welcome you all. It's such a blessing to have you here. I hope you're having a great day. I want to see messages in the chat. I've said hello a few times. Nobody is saying hello back. That's not nice. That's not very nice. Yeah. Hello, hi. Thank you. See, the floodgates have opened. Thank you so much. Hello, 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 hello. From Canada. Thank you. Thank you. I was just going to ask if you don't mind if you want to just tell us good evening, if you just want to tell us where you're joining from so I can get a sense of how spread out we are. From Uyo, amazing. Hello, Chinyere. Nigeria, where in Nigeria are you at? Nigeria is a huge place. From Lagos, Ibadan. Yes, good evening, Lagos. Okay. Fantastic. Good evening to you in Lagos, in Ibadan. Thank you, Wendy. Hello, hello. Igodo, wow. Okay. From Calabar, all right. Abakaliki, Abuja from Gambia, all right. We're branching out now. Port Harcourt, amazing, amazing. From the UK, hello to you. Good evening, fellow UK resident. Ade from Lagos, hello, hello. Lovely to have you here. Chinenye from Enugu, South Africa, wonderful. From Scotland, I hope it is not too chilly over there. Hello from Ibadan, from the UK. Lovely, lovely to have us here. Good evening from Ibadan. Ilorin, Kwara, lovely. Canada, amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you all so much. Now I'm feeling the excitement. Yeah, yes, I'm feeling the excitement. Please invite your friends to join us. Daniel is joining us from Bonny Island. Interesting. Send the link out. Send the link out from Akobo. Wonderful. Tochi from Uyo. Amazing. Amazing. Welcome. I hope you're comfortable. If you haven't grabbed a drink, a snack, you may want to do that now. Josh is from Lagos. Port Harcourt. John Adeze from Lagos. Fantastic. Uche from Abuja. Okay, lovely, lovely. Just Platter, wonderful. Another Uyo resident. Uyo people should link up. Eh? Uyo people should have a drink together. Yes, have a meal. What is it that you eat in Uyo? I'm wondering. What is the Uyo is Calabar, isn't it? Is that axis? So maybe some edikaikong or something. Ngozi Smart from Aba, wonderful. From Dundee, UK. I wonder where that is. Afang. Okay, thank you for the adjustment. Afang is a fantastic dish. Welcome, welcome, welcome. So lovely to have you here. And I meant it when I said it comforts me as a parenting coach, as someone who works in the family life space. Sometimes you come across things that, gives you a bit of concern, but that you have all been gathered here today to have this conversation about ensuring that your child succeeds. It just gives me hope for the future, and I'm energized to press forward. Mark from Zamfara, lovely. Accra, Ghana, Kaduna, from Abuja, welcome, welcome, welcome. I am so pleased that you're here. Thank you for joining. I hope you're inviting friends. Send the links out, the Zoom link. I think we have space for a few more people to join us. Send it out. Let's shake up the virtual space. Let's Zoom headquarters. Something is going on. Blossom from Port Harcourt, from London, Abule Egba, wonderful. Lagos, Abuja, wonderful, wonderful. Thank you all so much for making the time. You could have been anywhere else. You could have decided, look, I'm just going to chill on this Sunday evening, just going to relax. But you've decided to invest this time into yourself, your parenting, and for your children. So well done. I salute you for that. Well done, well done. Welcome. Welcome. All right. Please keep those comments coming. I'll read them as much as I can. At this point, according to the program, I'm supposed to share with you my parenting journey. I think I'm in a good place now. If you asked me that question, what, 10 years ago, I would have just gone, my life is over. I don't know who sent me. I don't know if you get those feelings every now and again. Who sent me? What was I thinking? But I think I'm in a good place now. I know a lot more, and I think that knowledge base is critical. Yes, what you know and what you then do with what you know is what will give you the results that you're looking for. A lot of us went into parenting without any clue. Yeah, it was just the next step. You're married or you've decided, look, it's time to have a child, and then you just go for it. There is no qualifications anywhere for you to, there's no box to tick, there's no form to fill before they say, all right, here you go. Here's a childbearing license. Go on and have a child, right? You just decide, well, it's time, and then you get into the physics and the chemistry and the biology of it, and then the child is in your hands, and reality dawns on you, right? When you move on from the gentle, lovey-dovey play, they're always smiling. They're always the only yes, there will be a replay. There will be a replay. It's probably streaming on YouTube as we speak. Admin, if you can confirm that for us as well. You move on from they're dependent on you, they don't talk back, you place them here, they stay there, you put them in the court, they're right there, they don't shift, they don't move, and then they begin to pick up these language skills. And sometimes one of the words that infuriates you the most is why. You've asked them to do something and they're like, why? Or they've just completely ignored you, and then it begins to challenge you a little bit, and then you recognize that there's a deficit, right? There's a deficit in what you're supposed to be doing and what you're capable of achieving. You just don't have the tools, you don't have the raw materials. It could be psychological, it could be emotional. In any case, you just realize there is a gap, right? And for me, it was at the point where things were getting a bit tricky. That was when I came into that family life space. And I can tell you, it's been smooth sailing in my head because my child still has autonomy, yeah, and they will still surprise you every now and again, and it's my job to bring them back on track. But the fact that I know exactly what I'm doing has been very helpful. There's been structure, there have been systems in place, and every now and again when I put my foot down on something because it's based on a principle or on a family value. And I say to my son, I'm sorry, that's not going to fly. This is what is appropriate. This is who we are. Therefore, this is what we do. And he doesn't like it. You can tell that he doesn't like it. But later he comes back and says, Mommy, I understand why you insisted. Okay. I know you're just looking out for me. And I'm like, okay. It's a good thing I held that place down, that I didn't give in to his sorry and sad face and say, God, why am I even being mean? Why can't I let this go? And that is what we're supposed to do. Okay, even though we try to recommend delivering it directions with calm and engaging them rather than just dishing out instructions, because you want to raise a child that is able to think independently. If you're going to raise an independent a child who has a capacity to think independently, then you must be ready to explain yourself. You must be willing to engage. You must be willing to, say it over and over again and recognize the uniqueness of the child. So for each child, you know how best to communicate. Yeah, because you want them to move away from mommy said so, daddy said so, to this is what I know is the right thing to do. Therefore, even when they are not within earshot, when I'm away at school, when I'm far away from home, I'm still going to make these choices that are in my best interest. Yeah. And it gets challenging. But when you have the tools and you have the skills, then it is easier from that. Okay. Welcome, Mutarayo. We're very happy that you're here. At this point, I want to invite Uduak Basi. Okay, she's smiling. I want to invite Uduak Basi to please share her testimonial with us on her parenting journey so far. Welcome, Uduak.
Hi, thanks for having me. Hello, everyone. I hope you can hear me.
Yes, yes, absolutely.
Awesome. Awesome. So, my name is Udwak, as just rightly said, and I'd like to share a bit of my parenting journey with you. I've always tried to be some sort of an intentional parent. What that means is trying to find out how best to improve on myself and on my parenting style. So even from the time my kids were younger, like through their primary school days and their secondary school days, it was sort of like common for parents to walk up to me or even their teachers to walk up to me and go, your kids are different. What are you doing? Or this result you have with your kids, tell us, how you got it. And for the most part, I didn't have a formula to share. So I got to the point where I was just basically giving them a summary. It's God. So my response all the time was, it's God. And of course, the God angle is important, but there is a human component to it as well. Raising children, there's a God angle and there's a human component. God expects us to train up the child in the way they should go. So, but I knew that there were gaps in my parenting, style. I knew that there were things I needed to improve on. I knew there were things I wish I knew and could do better. So that led me to search for more. So I went on the internet, tried to find resources. Some were good, some were not good. But in the course of that search, I came across the VIP parenting course, and I decided to take it. And when I took the course, it was, I think the word I'd use is extraordinary. There were so many light bulb moments, right? So many things to learn, unlearn. And for one, it finally gave me the right vocabulary to tell people what I was doing, right? At least for the result I was getting. But beyond that, it showed me what I needed to correct, first in myself and in my parenting style, to be able to get the results I desired with my kids. And of course, by this time, most of my kids were already teenagers. So of course, they were at that stage where I needed to have more information. I wasn't sure if what I knew before or what I was doing before would suffice for this stage of their lives. So when I took the course, I mean, it absolutely changed, not just me. It changed the way I was parenting. It changed the dynamics in the house. So I would say to everyone on this call, if you're looking for a blueprint, if you're looking for some sort of framework that shows you how to get your child from point A to a predetermined point B, this is the best parenting course for that, right? The VIP parenting course gives you the structure, if you set in place, if you actually engage with the course, if you practice what you're learning, you will see an immediate difference in your family. And I can tell you that as a guarantee, right? So I encourage everyone on this course. I would love to recommend this, not just for you, but that you recommend it to your friends and tell them to recommend it to their friends as well. It's that important. Um, the course is not just primarily just for parents right now. I would even recommend it as an integral part of every premarital class, right? Because we need to know what we need to put in place to be sure that the family we're trying to build, the children that we want to raise, are actually going to get to the destination that we have in mind for them. I'm sure everyone that takes the course and applies what they're learning is going to get, exceptional results in their lives and in their families as well. So thank you for the opportunity to share.
Fantastic. Fantastic. Thank you so much. Thank you for being honest about it. I work with parents in the VIP parenting course, and I can tell you how I acknowledge what Uduak has just said. It's transformational. It just uproots, it rebuilds, and like PF says to us, we've moved from parenting to ancestry. So it becomes a transgenerational thing. It's not just you sorting out parenting issues for your immediate family or for the families that are close to you. It is you creating structures and systems that will be transgenerational, that at some point in the future, say 100 years down the line, you can actually look back. Your members of your family can look back and say, it was at this point in our history that things took this kind of turn that it has taken now. The results that we're getting now, what our family is known for, the acclaim, the glory that the family is attached to the family now. It was at this point when so and so person, that so and so person is you. It was when this person came on the scene. That was when this family lineage charted a new course. Okay.
The third, it's saying that by 2030, exactly 5 years from now, the number two killer of the people globally will be depression and then HIV. What does that mean? Recklessness, right? People are having unprotected sex, and then you're going to have depression. What is depression? A lot of our young people don't have the resilience many of us had growing up. So the capacity for many of us, I mean, some of us went to school and we were not driven to school. We went in our leg. Now they don't have that luxury. So it then means that a lot of children will be dealing with depression in another 5 years because many of them are not happy. Why are they not happy? Because they are looking at their world and they're taking in all sorts of things. They have all kinds of pressure on them. Their parents don't even understand the pains they're going through. A lot of teenagers are battling with the fear of growing up. The fear of growing up is a fear that is defined by observing their parents toil to make ends meet, and they are looking at your life and they are wondering, is this the future I want to? So I don't want to grow up. And so that in itself is leading to a bit of depressive disorders that parents are not even aware of. We are still tracking that. And then you now have HIV resurfacing all over again. Where because pornography sites are now everywhere. In fact, almost every content that young people are producing and consuming is a bit of soft porn. So if you live in Nigeria, almost young people, they know about knacking. You want to knack this person. And so friends with benefits is no longer platonic. A lot is happening. And that is why you need to fortify your family as a parent so that your children are insulated from the madness that has defined our world. If we don't raise a wholesome generation of happy children, the future is at risk. Because this depressive disorder is simply a fundamental that is saying to us that our children are not happy. And so why are children not happy? Many of us are the ones traumatizing these children, right? And then the society is traumatizing them. And many of us don't have an articulate system that can produce an outcome. This means we must build a parenting system that can produce wholesome adults. Now, that system can be built. That system has been studied. There's a framework for it, but we have to be willing to understand it and now begin to interact with it. If we don't understand the greatness of our DNA, we will pass our error to our children. And that is what has happened to many of us. If you take a trip into our history, the first coming of Africans to the diaspora was as slaves. We were brought here as slaves against our wish. When they brought us here, who sold their brothers to the slave masters? Our brothers. So the ones we sold are upset with us that we sold them because they have children. But then two people went to slaves and became slaves. The ones in the diaspora and the ones within Africa were also slaves because they had no voice, they had no say, they could run around African nations, but they were still under oppression. Now, slavery came with certain tendencies. Number one, identity was stolen. Now, once your identity is stolen, you will manifest low self-esteem. So if you are listening to me, you have insecurity, you have identity crisis, you don't know who you are, you're upset with your life, you are dealing with insecurity, you are dealing with low self-esteem, is part of the symptoms of slavery that has been passed down from generation to generation. We're just regurgitating it. The only thing is that we are now not in chains. Identity is stolen, your name gets changed, right? And then you realize that there's a disintegration of your history. Because I always ask, and I'm going to ask this question in this class, how many of you can tell me the name of the man in the fourth generation before you were born? That is your great grandfather, the man in the fourth generation. Can you tell me his name on the chat box? And you can tell me the most significant thing he achieved when he lived on this planet. Anybody at all, right? If you don't know the man in the fourth generation before you were born, just type no, I don't know. Just type no. If you know him, type a yes and tell me the name and what he achieved. So you can see the no's as they are ringing out. It happens all the time I teach this class. I don't know. No. But why don't you know? If you don't know, then I dare you to know that there's a part of your history that is stolen, manipulated, or that you even don't know existed. So many of us, so I love this. Cat says, he was a king. He was perceived to be mean to his subject. So maybe meanness could be strict. Maybe he was a strict man and they call it mean, right? And so you see, many of us don't know. We are too busy cursing our ancestors because somebody has sold us a lie that there was something wrong with your ancestry. Jesus, you read about his ancestry in the Bible, how he was born, the people that were born before him, his great-great-grandfather, inside that ancestry was a prostitute. They did not hide it. There was a prostitute inside Jesus' ancestry. There was another guy who slept with his son's wife and fathered two children by them. His name Judah. He was in that, and they didn't hide it. So there is nothing bad about your history that what is right about you cannot correct. But what has happened to many of us is that they have scripted us, lied to us. Everything about your past, you have been told, is demonic. But that past is what produced you. And so you are cursing your past because you don't understand the superpower that God has put in your ancestry. I'll give you a story. I was working with a lady. I hope she's on this call. And then I was asking her the same story. She didn't want to have anything to do with her past. Why? She said because her great-great-great-grandfather was a man who did slave trade. So he was selling slaves. Number two, he was a warrior. Number three, he said there was a time one of the slaves fell in love with his daughter and he killed the slave. So they buried that story and they didn't want anybody to know about it. So if you ask her about her past, she will say Jesus is her past. No problem. But then I sat with her and I began to show her what she may have missed. The man that was doing slave trade in that age and time, what is the equivalent of slave trade in this age and time? That's international trade. The man was an international businessman in that era because that was acceptable in that era. So it's like trading in oil and gas in this age and time. So she had an heritage of international business that they eliminated because they didn't want to hear about it. That's one. Number two, the man killed a slave who fell in love with his daughter. In that age and time, that is classified as protecting your family. He was a protector, right? But then they demonized him. Then they said the man was a warrior who was mean and blah, 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 blah. In that age and time, he was strict. And so I said, did you realize that you are the heritage of international business? You know what she said to me? She broke down and she said to me, she said, Praise, do you know that everybody in my lineage, there's this thing about business that they have, right? I said, that's a superpower God put in your lineage. It's no respecter of who your fathers were. So if your great-great-grandfather was an Ifa priest, if your great-great-grandfather was, let's say he was a priest to a god, that is still an equivalent of priesthood. It means that there's a futurist superpower in your lineage. It means you have the capacity to interpret difficult issue and make it simple for people. If you check your life, you will find that manifestation. God's gift and calling is without repentance. All of us have got that superpower, but we have been told by the same people that held us captive, held us bound in slavery, that there was something wrong with our father. And then we are regurgitating that. And so no wonder many of us don't know our identity. How that is playing out, I will explain it to you. So you have a girl on this meeting whose great-great-grandfather was a king. Then his great-great-grandfather, the one in the third generation, maybe got into Christianity and ran away. And he said, no, he doesn't want to have anything to do with kingship. And he left the town, ran away, and became a normal person. Now, his own son did not know that he was a royalty. His grandson did not know he was a royalty. The grandson has given birth to a daughter who is not aware that she's from a royal lineage. If she knew that she was from a royal lineage, she would have been a princess. But because they've cut off from their ancestry, she's become a normal girl, a person, and she's going to fall in love with a guy that if they knew she was a royalty, the guy would never have spoken to her. She's going to get beaten in that marriage because she had totally forgotten or she didn't even know that she was a royalty. Knowledge of knowing that she was a royalty is enough for her to determine who she should marry. She would have married a fellow royalty, but that history is lost. That is what has happened to many of us. And that's why you see how we treat our children. We treat them with meanness. We talk to them anyhow because we don't even have an identity. So if we don't understand the greatness of our DNA, we'll pass on error to our children. And so many of us, we need to know that trial and error is what you are doing right now. That's how you're raising your child. And trial and error is not good. You need to move into intentional parenting and learn the skill. Let me tell you, this thing is not microwave. You will need to belong to a tribe for the next 1 year that you will begin to learn how to do these things differently. Because all many of us have been told is just pray, dedicate your child to the Lord. Oh, connect your child to the prayer altar. There is nothing wrong with prayer. But do you know that two of the most difficult human beings in the history of our world, two of the worst human beings that created the biggest problem in our world were products of prayers? Adolf Hitler, Joseph Stalin. Their parents were prayer warriors. As a matter of fact, their parents ensured that the two of them went to seminary. It was at the seminary that both of them became atheists. And you know how many people Adolf Hitler killed? He almost exterminated all Jews. Joseph Stalin killed over 30 million people when he was head of Soviet Union. These were products of prayers. But then, what did their parents do wrong? Yes, they taught them how to pray. They were Christians, they were praying parents, but then they did not do what they should do when it comes to putting systems in place that can condition these children to embrace empathy, to embrace love, to embrace emotional connection, and to embrace relationship that can make them better people. So even though these children were reading Bible, they were bitter children because of the way they were handled. So we need to understand that we must continue to pray. But prayer without work is dead. That's what the Bible says. Faith without work is dead. We need to add virtue to our prayer. We need to add intentionality. We need to add knowledge to our prayer. So here are the 5 common mistakes African parents have made over the years that has enslaved us and how you must free your children. Number 1, many of our African parents, we have no sense of well-articulated identity and history. You see, your history did not start the day you were born. There was some people that passed something to you. There were things they passed to you. There were things those people were passed to. So pre-colonial, colonial, post-colonial, and present day. So we did not become this Africa that we didn't even know we had anymore. We did not become this Africa that we have a leader in Cameroon who has been in leadership since I was 2 years old. 1980 was when President Paul Biya became Paul Biya, and yet he's still going to contest election. Africa did not become this Africa where our leaders don't care about us. We've never been like that. Originally, we were Africans as kingdoms. Every kingdom had royalties. Every kingdom had ethos. They have a way they raise children. And every child knew who they were, right? That was why Benin Kingdom was a great kingdom, one of the most sophisticated kingdom in history. Ashanti Kingdom, Dahomey, you have the Soweto, you have all kinds of people, great people across Africa that we have now forgotten about. And then it looked like we don't know what we're doing anymore. Was it not the same Africa they sent Jesus to when his life was threatened? Was it not Egypt they sent him to? Africa has always protected the world and preserved the world. But then we have suddenly forgotten about those history, and then we are defining Africa by fetishism. We think Africa is the dark continent. That's not correct. So we need to go back and rewrite our history and project our history. To know that you are in Africa doesn't mean you are inferior. That the Africa is not a symbol of inferiority. So without a sense of articulated identity and history, you are already a toast. Let me shock you. I wear these beads, right? And this beads is not fashion. I'm from a royal lineage, and so my children have these beads. And I tell them the story of my lineage consistently. And I say to them, see, you are not going to take marijuana because other people are taking it, because you need to understand that you are royalty. And so when all of them are high and they've lost their mind, there has to be a king who will keep them sane. That's what I say to my children. So when you get into any class, don't let anybody define you by the color of your skin because you are royalty. You need to walk in there majestically and understand that you deserve respect. And so nobody's going to look down on them, right? So without you telling them the history of the greatness of your family, your children are going to be messed up out here. So that's number 1. Number 2, no generational agenda. I have worked in this sector for 24 years, worked across African continent, different countries, worked with different people and various continents of the world. I have discovered that Africans are the only ones who do not work on generational agenda. We are experts at annual prophetic declaration. But when it comes to generational agenda, we never set it. Go and check. Saudi Arabia has a vision 2030. UAE has a vision 2030. China has a vision 10 that they set like 20 years ago. Go and check Africa. You won't find any. And so a new generation has got to arise to say we cannot go. If you Google right now and check what will happen in the world in 2090, there's information there. What will happen in the world in 2100, there's information there. Who are the children of the people putting those information there? By the time our own children get to the year 2100, they have already got into 2200. So it means if we don't change the script, we will always be behind. Our children will always be slaves. And we can't afford for that to happen. So the people before us, they didn't create a generational agenda. They created 4-year. Every government in power in Africa, they have 4-year plan, 8-year plan at most. Then they want their mentees to continue. Nobody is showing us that by the year 2065, Africans will be at the end of affairs across the globe when it comes to innovation. Nobody is projecting into that. Everything they promise, even when they say we don't believe them, because it looks like political statement. But we are the ones who need to create that generational agenda from our family. Number 3, ineffective family system for effective child scripting. The rule is scripting a child. So if I ask you, for example, how many of you are here? Your family has a clear vision, but not just a vision. That vision, you have created a domestic curriculum for your family that is peculiar to your family, that every child in your family goes through that curriculum to produce the outcome you desire. If you have that curriculum in your family, can you type hi? Let me see. If you don't have, can you type nay? Right? Let me see. We're doing this together. So you need to begin to see this gap. If you have an intentional curriculum that you are using to raise your children intentionally, can you type hi? If you don't, so nay is a lot, right? So it means you are leaving things to chance. You cannot leave your children's brain to school education. School education has its own agenda. The school educational system is not designed to set your child free. It is designed to either confuse your child, because a lot of us graduated, we became confused. When you graduated from school, were you clear about what you wanted to do with your life? You didn't know. If the educational system was effective, it should produce a graduate that is clear about his future, that knew what to do from the time he graduated. But there are subjects you take, subjects you took when you were in school. Till tomorrow, you still don't know the application of the subject. You don't know why you took the subject. I have a lot of theories we did in school. We don't know the application, right? That's to tell you that oftentimes the educational system has an agenda. That's why you do what is called subject. The goal of a subject is to subject you to become a subject of what you are subjected to. So the goal of any subject is to brainwash you to think in a particular format, but depending on who is in control of the agenda. That's why God bless all our Muslim sisters and brothers on this platform. May Allah accept your prayers as you start to fast. But there are states in Nigeria, 3 states in Nigeria that are educationally backward. They declared holiday during Ramadan fast. Saudi Arabia children are in school. Qatar children are in school. Iraq children are in school. But then those states have declared holiday in Nigeria, thereby setting our precious children backward, right? And it's not in the interest of the children. It's in the interest of those guys, because it's either there's some money allocated that they want to collect or something like that. You ask yourself, how do you declare 40 days holiday because of a fast that other nations who are Islamic nations are not doing, right? And so you see, that is why you need to have an intentional curriculum for your own children. Because parenting is an 18-year curriculum. What happens from age 19 is your report card. So if you know it's an 18-year curriculum, what type of child do you want to see at age 18? What must that child be fed with from the time the child is born till the time the child is 18? That's the curriculum. There's a way to create it, right? So ineffective family system for effective child scripting. And that takes me to number 4. Number 4 is lack of disciplinary options, thereby traumatizing a child. A typical African parent does not know the difference between discipline, domestication, and punishment. Punishment is where you koboko and bulala and beat a child. Discipline is helping a child become the best version of himself. Discipline is about grooming, discipleship, helping, training, and coaching. Domestication is clipping the wings of a child or putting the child under. So every time you say to your child, I'll clip your wing in this house, it is domestication. So because we don't have disciplinary option, the only option we know is to beat. And then you beat the child becomes afraid. The child becomes traumatized. What is the opportunity cost of beating? Many of us don't know. Are you aware it's been proven now from neuroscience that when you shout and scream and yell on a child, right? If you subject that child and you put his heart, on a system where cardiologists can monitor, or they do a brain imaging for that child, they see symbols of trauma when you shout or yell at your children. Now, why do you yell? Why do you beat? Why should you yell at a child who is 4 years old for spilling water? Spilling water at the age of 4, is it a bad behavior or an expected behavior for a 4-year-old? But you beat that child for spilling water because you were beaten. So not having disciplinary options. What you want to do is to correct a behavior, not to traumatize your child. But because you don't know any other way, some parents will even brag. These children, they don't listen until you shout, until you beat them. And you are bragging about that. You are confessing that you lack the skills to help a child. And the easiest example I give is, if at the point of you want to beat your child, suddenly your child grew up and he became the military general of your nation, we used to go ahead to beat him. The answer is no. You will not find a better way to pass out your information. So by that, you have admitted that it's lack of skill that is responsible for what you're doing. Now, I am not against beating if you want to beat. However, it cannot be a first option. And number 5, individualism as against systemic collaboration. Guys, let me tell you, the world is organized in tribes and in teams. The last 10 years has always been like that, and it will last for the next 5 years. It's a decade of tribe and teams. So if you don't have a group of people, a community you belong to, where you are parenting together, you can no longer parent by yourself, because we say it takes a village to raise a child. You now need to create a village wherein you are leveraging strength and you guys are collaborating to raise your children together. Now, unfortunately, Africans are the ones that say it takes a village to raise a child, but now we don't even raise a child through a village again. We don't care what happens to other people's children as long as your own children is good. But you have forgotten. Let me tell you a story. It happened in Lagos. There was this parent, true life story. This was 1994, 95, sent his children abroad when there was crisis about June 12 election, right? And those boys never came to Nigeria again. Many years later, Nigeria has grown very worse. And so one of the children came back, is done with university, and then was standing in a place called Surulere. There's a place in Surulere in Lagos, Nigeria, in case you don't live in Nigeria, called Olaya. They sell amala and rice there. This boy went to eat there. And while he was coming out, he noticed that a guy just snatched the purse of another lady. Snatched the purse, and he couldn't believe what was happening. And the guy got on a motorbike and zoomed up. It was like, why would this happen? Because where he was coming from, this would never really be a thing. He could call 911, but there was no 911. So he decided to pursue the guy on leg and running, and the guy brought out a gun and shot him dead. All the years of investment abroad terminated, sadly, by an untrained boy. So we can no longer do individualism and watch other people's children misbehave, mess up, and keep quiet. We now need to come together and collaborate to save the future of Africa. Now, so these are the 5. And so when we lack disciplinary options on this, we're going to traumatize children. So you are going to quickly do this assessment, and then I'll tell you the things you need to uninstall and give you the 3 tips you need for your child to succeed in this age and time. Right. So these are the assessments, very simple question, 10 questions, and it will show you your readiness. And please be honest about this assessment. You don't have to lie. We are here to help ourselves. And see, I believe we're all going to form a community, and we're going to learn all that we need to learn together within the next 1 year together. Right. So here is the instruction. Kindly rate each of this statement below to know what you believe. To know the truth by using, so if you read a statement and you strongly agree with it, that's a 4. If you agree, that's a 3. That's if it's true. If you disagree, maybe that's not happening in your family, that's a 2. If you strongly disagree, that's a 1. Please be very honest, right? Be very, very honest. So, number 1, we have a well-articulated and documented family legends that our kids understand, right? If you have that in your family, documented, articulated family legend, family history that your kids know about, all of them know it, right? If that is you, maybe that's a 4. If you agree, that's a 3. If you disagree, that's a 2. If you strongly disagree, that's a 1. If you don't have it at all, that's 1. Number 2, our kids are familiar with our ancestry from the 4th generation. That is, they know the name of the man in the 4th generation and they know his history. Number 3, we have a family handbook that gives a clear direction on how our family runs. So if I come to your family today, there's an handbook you can give to me as a visitor if I want to spend 72 hours in your house, and that states exactly how your family runs. Number 4, we have a uniform parenting charter that was designed by us. It means you and your husband, you have the same parenting charter. Please answer it on your notebook, not on the chat box. I only need your final answer on the chat box. Okay, good. Number 5, we have a family vision that everyone in our family can recite and explain. So if I come to your family today and I ask your children what is the family vision, they can tell me offhand without going to read it out from somewhere. Number 6, we have a family educational system that was created to produce the desired outcome in our children. I've asked that question before. Number 7, our family routines and rituals are all in alignment with our family vision. That your routines and ritual is alignment with your family vision. Number 8, we have a generational charter of the outcome we expect from our descendants long after we are gone. That is, you have a charter to say, 4 generations after I'm born, I'm gone, this is what I expect to happen. Number 9, we have a family system that can run by itself in our absence. That if you are not at home, your family system will run by itself. Number 10, we consider ourselves to have totally healed from our childhood trauma. We consider ourselves to have totally healed from our childhood trauma. That's if you have any. Now, if you are done, can you add up all your answers? Where you scored 1, add it to the 2, add it to the 3. Can you add it up? If you score between 0 and 10, it means your system right now does not exist. It's not ready. If you score between 11 to 20, averagely ready. If you're 21 to 30, it means your system is ready. If you score 31 to 40, totally ready. What did you score? Let me see your final scores on the chat box. Let's see. Okay, people are scoring 10. And whatever you score is not bad, right? You may not kill anybody. It's just a reflection of where you are. And we're going to teach you and show you how to move from where you are to where you need to be, okay? So let me see. What's your final scores? I'm seeing a lot more people score 10. Let me see. 10, 7. Okay. Best way to handle one girl a year, some months ago. Please don't ask questions for now. Okay. 10, 13, 11. I love you guys. You guys are very honest. And this is how we should do things in Africa. 23, Moshudo saying, well done. 14, okay, not ready. I mean, and 26, Christopher, you know, where you are is not bad. It's just a reflection of where you are to know that you need to do something as a matter of urgency. I've not seen anybody that's got 31, right? So it looks like a few of us are ready, right? Not ready, Lady Tamara, and it's good where you are, right? And so the question is, do you like your report card? Do you like your current report card, right? I'm sure some of you don't like it. And where you are is not the end of the world. It doesn't make you a bad parent. You've done the best you can with what you knew. It just means you need to do something as a matter of urgency differently. And so, truth is, many of our kids are turning out well, but the percentage presently distracted across the world is scary. And that's why we must arise as a people. There are some of you listening to me, your child is already on drugs. I was teaching a session yesterday, and a lot of parents were buzzing me to say, Praise, where do we start from? We know we have not done it right. And I told them, don't judge yourself. If you knew better, you would have acted better. So don't judge yourself on this meeting. I'm not here to judge you. I am here to only help you know where you are, and then you can build from there, right? Many of our children are in trouble, but they can't even tell us because we are not even ready to know their truth. And so you need to know that by being in this meeting, there is something missing in your family that you know God has called you to create or rebuild. But many of you have been running away from it. Let me tell you that you scored low in those sessions. If you take your parents through the same question, they would have scored low. So they passed that knowledge to you, which did not help you. Their own parents passed it to them, which did not help them, and they have now passed it to you. The question is, will you pass the same to your children based on how you are behaving and how you are running parenting right now? Because your children are learning from what they see you do. But you have a choice on this meeting. You can decide and say, you know what? I will become a brand new ancestor in my family, that I will not pass pain. I will not pass trauma. I will not pass this bad behavior to my children, where all I know is to beat, all I know is to yell. I'm not even happy with myself. How can I pass happiness to your children? That is what I believe many of you on this call are called to do. God is calling you to create and rebuild something that has never happened before in your generation. You will likely be the first set of parents who will master systems intelligence in Africa. And that is why you are in this meeting. So don't look down on yourself. But there are 5 beliefs you must uninstall if your child's success must never be left to chance. And I'm quickly going to run through those beliefs. Number 1, my child is dedicated to the Lord, therefore God will raise him. See, you need to uninstall this belief. You can dedicate a child to the Lord and the child will sit on out as armed robbers. You can dedicate a child. Dedication was something we learned from the Jews. But the Jews don't only do dedication. The Jews will dedicate a firstborn to the Lord, but the Jews have a curriculum, 14-year curriculum that every Jewish child runs through. It terminates at the festival called Bat Mitzvah. Bat Mitzvah is an event where you bring your child to the community and you put your hand on the child and you say, this is my beloved child in whom I'm well pleased. So the Jews prioritize parenting knowledge. Africans took the ceremony. We did not take the curriculum. So you cannot just say my child is dedicated to the Lord, and I see it all the time when we are praying. I bring my child to this altar. You bring the child to this altar. Bringing the child to the altar, God will not by himself raise your child. You need to create a curriculum. Number 2, believe you need to uninstall. If you don't beat the child may not become disciplined. Discipline, domestication, and punishment are 2 different things. Discipline is the Latin word disciplina. It means to help, to script, to help, to raise, to disciple your child and make better. Domestication is the Latin word domesticatus. It means to tame and to clip wings. Punishment is the Latin word punire. It means to inflict pain and avenge. So which one are you trying to do? Because many of you, you say, the Bible says, the rod of correction. The Bible did not specify that rod is belt. It did not say that rod is a slap. No, that wasn't what the Bible says. It says bound in the heart of a child, not every child, indefinite article. The rod of correction can be correction. My mother never beat me, but my mom will talk to you. It was my mom's word that stopped me from smoking. It was not a tantrum. My father beat me. I became very hardened. I will go and commit evil because I know he will just beat me. But my mom, she will sit you down and make you see why what you are doing is not empowering to you. And so I pray. And my mom, when she's finished talking, you will cry as if the whole world gathered to beat you. So if you don't beat your child, the child may not become disciplined. Uninstall it. Number 3, I can't control my anger because these children don't listen to me unless you shout. So how many of you belong to that school of thought? You are in that WhatsApp group. You normally shout on your child, right? You scream, you yell. When things don't go your way, can you say hi? Let us see you. Okay, good. You guys are very honest and I love you all in this call, right? You're always shouting. Now, let me ask you a question. Why do you shout? You shout because things don't go your way. So let me ask you this question, and I need your honest answer. So let's say the president of America sends his child to you, and the boy is stubborn. And the president of America says, I want you to raise this child for me. Your reward will be $1 million US. The boy is stubborn, but we'll give you $1 million if you can raise this child successfully. But we are going to put a CCTV in your house. That CCTV will monitor what you are doing to raise this child from America. Now, let's say this is a true life story. How many of you will still shout and beat a child? If a child was given to you by the president of America, your reward is $1 billion and US citizenship, but they're going to install CCTV. Will you still shout on the child? You know the child is stubborn. Anybody, you will shout, say hi. You will not shout, say no. See, so some people who were shouting before, we no longer see. Somebody say, I will find a creative way. Let me tell you why you are beating and shouting on your child. You are shouting your child because of what you see in front of you. You know you can beat him and there's no consequence, right? That's why you're doing what you're doing. If you see your child as a royalty, you will find another way. See, many people say, I don't shout on my children. Me, I used to shout before. I was also in that WhatsApp group. But go and ask my children. They will tell you, Daddy never shouts on us. I communicate and they listen to me. If you can speak to the soul of a child and rent a space in their brain, they will listen to you. My sheep hear my voice, the voice of a stranger they will not hear. So your anger is because of the way you were raised. You were shouted on, and that's the only way you learn to express displeasure. You shout, you yell, right? But if it shows that you don't know who your child is. We teach something called perceptual code. Perceptual code is a descriptive word that governs how you see your child and how you raise that child. So every child in your family is what? If you say every child in this family is a royalty or they are diplomat, question, how do you raise diplomat? How do you raise royalty? How do you correct royalty? How do you discipline royalty? You will know that to discipline a royalty, you don't shout, you don't scream. You negotiate, you speak to their soul, and they respond to you. So this is not correct. You are shouting and exercising weakness, expressing your weakness, expressing a trauma, because your shout is a trauma response. Number 4, we must keep an eye on my child at all times, lest they misbehave or join bad groups. So you have become an umbrella parent, an helicopter parent. Your child cannot even cook by themselves. They can't go out by themselves because you are afraid. You are projecting your fear on your child. Many of us seem to have forgotten that when we were growing up in Africa, there were no mobile phones. Yet we left home early. We came back late at night and nothing happened. So where did we get all these new fears from? Even with mobile phones, we still can't trust our children to go out. If you have properly raised that child, you don't have to be afraid. I don't know who is my child's friend. Who is your friend? Don't talk to your friend. You can't even. So a 14, 15-year-old is telling you, mommy, all the people in my class, they have a crush. Me, I don't have any crush. And you are deceiving yourself thinking that that's the truth. Right? Meanwhile, you fell in love. You wrote love letter. You wrote those love letter. I'm writing the short missive to you. I hope you are fine. If so, doxology. You wrote doxology. So why are you acting surprised? So you are keeping an eye on the child all the time. I am for, rules and regulation within the family, but sometimes you need to allow the child, do their thing while you observe. Okay, somebody say memories. See, all these people that wrote doxology, they are now confessing. Number 5, believe you need to uninstall. Nobody has a parenting template because we don't know tomorrow. That's not correct. Parenting template has been studied. I have studied the Jewish parenting, studied the African parenting, studied the Indian parenting, studied the Emirates. I have studied maybe like 14 different cultures, right? And I know there is a parenting system. See, terrorists have a system. So how much more parenting? If you want to raise a royalty, there's a way to raise them. There's a way to arrange your house. There's a way to organize your house. There's who you and your husband need to become. There's a way to do these things. Right? There's the kind of school they need to go to. There's a way you need to create your curriculum in your family. It's intentionality. That's what family system is all about. So if anybody says to you, no, but it means this person wants you to gamble. And you can't gamble the future of your children. Right? We need to understand these things. And that takes me to the last thing there. I must distance myself totally from my heritage because it is demonic. This is another lie they've told you. Everything about your past is demonic. So it means there is nothing good about your parents, about your grandfather. If you say your grandfather was an evil person, how come he didn't kill your father? Your great-grandfather was a terrible man. How come he didn't kill your great-grandfather? He didn't kill your grandfather. He didn't kill your father. He didn't kill you. Right? And so many of us don't understand dispensation. In certain dispensation before Islam and Christianity, there is a way of life in Africa. And there's nothing wrong with that. I'll tell you a story. This one happened to my mentee in America. She went for a meeting in Ohio. And this girl is a Nigerian girl. But she didn't have enough money for accommodation. This is a true life story that happened 2 years ago in America. And when she got to the meeting, she was supposed to go for this meeting, the 3-day meeting. The first person she met at the restaurant walked up to her and told her, true life story, that, are you coming for this event? She said, yes. Do you have accommodation? She said, no. She said, I got a room for 2. So I hope you don't mind if you stay with me. And she said, oh, I don't mind. And he said, how did you know? The lady now said to her, I was praying this morning and my God told me to get 2 rooms, that there is someone coming who wouldn't have a room. So when she said that, she naturally assumed that she must be a Christian. And so she went to the room, she stayed in the room, and they were fine. The following morning, she didn't see this lady pray the Christian prayer. She didn't see her. So she walked up to her and said, you said your God told you to get room for 2. Said yes. Said, what religion do you practice? This lady is a white lady, for crying out loud. You know what she said? The lady said, I practice Ifa. I'm an Ifa worshiper. Meanwhile, this other lady is a Nigerian. She's a Yoruba girl. She was like, Ifa. That Ifa is my ancestry. That's what my forefathers used to practice, but I'm a Christian now. And the other lady laughed. And they said, how did you come about Ifa? The lady now said, oh, that in University of Columbus, there's an entire faculty that is faculty of Ifa, that was where she learned about it. And then she learned how to commune with Ifa and blah, blah, blah. By this, I'm not saying go and join Ifa. But the lady said to me, Cypress, I felt embarrassed that what I demonized in Africa is what this American lady is practicing. Right? Now, I am not saying that there is no demons in some of the things our forefathers dabbled into, but you don't throw their entire essence away and now said everything about them is bad. If they were Ifa priests, you are still a priest. There's priesthood in you. What does Ifa priest do? They commune between God and humanity. So if you are a counselor, you are still in that superpower realm. If you are someone who brings clarity to people, you are still manifesting that power, right? So a lot of us, we have totally distanced ourselves. It now looks like we have no history. Let me tell you, go and sit with the Indians. They will tell you stories unto the 16th generation. Go and sit with the Jews. They will tell you their story. This person begat this. This person begat this. This person begat, and they will tell you what everybody did, including a prostitute. They don't hide from some of these things. Your history shows you how you have progressed, how you have moved forward. It shows you how things have changed for you. Demons are everywhere, for crying out loud. Demons are everywhere. They're not any tribe-based. So don't let anybody gaslight you and say Africans are the only ones who have demons in their life. They are everywhere, in every nation. Wherever you have humanity, they exist. So a lot of us don't have the issue. I'm going to challenge you. Go and look for someone old in your family today and tell him to tell you the stories you've never had before about your ancestors, about your grandfather, about your great-grand. And there's a way to articulate the story to make it inspiring, right? We teach that in our classes, how to create an inspiring and make it believable. It's called narrative management. Every nation does that. So here are the 3-step formula for redefining the future of your children and their generation. How many people have enjoyed this so far? Can you type I? If you have enjoyed this and you want me to tell you the 3-step formula that can totally revolutionize your life, let me know. I. Fantastic. I'm almost done, guys. I'm almost done, and I'll take a few questions. Now, there is a 3-step process that will redefine your future as Africans. You see, many years ago, I started studying this. I'm glad Desola Shoson is here. Desola was the one moderating the meeting. Desola is practicing in the UK, and Desola has helped a lot of families build family systems, right? Many years ago, I took a trip to understand African families that have successfully passed their businesses to the next generation, that have passed it to the 3rd generation. We struggled to find, but we were able to find the damn Tatars. You know, we found a few people who have successfully passed it. And we realized that Africans don't articulate their histories intentionally. And that was why we started building a framework to say, you know what, we are going to raise a new tribe of Africans wherever we find them. And we're going to teach them what they need to do and how to build a system. Guys, if my family succeeds and other families have failed, I have still failed. So there are 3 things you can do almost immediately. Number 1, you need to dig deep into your ancestry and recover your superpower. Every family has a superpower globally. There is something God has given every family. If you mention the Anikula Pokutis, you know it's activism. Their forefather, matriarch, their mother, Fumilayo Ransom Kuti, was an activist, right? And so activism from Fela down to Femi, down to Sheung, down to their children, activism rubs deep. There are families that is its industry. Everybody in the family naturally knows how to do business. That's a superpower. Some families, it is diplomacy. Some families, it is governance, right? Every family has got a superpower. So if you look at some families in Nigeria, you realize they've been in power forever. They've just been at the seat of power forever. I mean, we did a study of, the founder, the person that created Kaduna, and we found it was a woman. The woman, they said, the story says that she has 3 children and that she didn't have a husband. That those 3 children, it was a god that impregnated her. That was what the story says. It was a myth, right? But then this woman became so big and so huge that she created an entire state an entire city, and our children became kings over that city. I mean, I taught that class before. I can look for the video and share with you, right? And so everybody has got a power. If you look at your family right now, there is something that is common. There is something everybody knows how to do. Some families, it is teaching. Everybody teaches. Some families, it is priesthood. Everybody is a priest. Maybe you're a pastor or imam or Islamic scholar or Christian, blah, 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 blah. There is something. Do you know that what is inside your family? Do you know the superpower? Because that superpower, your children have it. But if they don't know it and they start to harness it, they will go and get a job and they'll become confused, right? It is because many of us don't know it that made us confused, and then we are trying to grow, right? There are families in Nigeria today or in South Africa or in Mali that from the time they were born, they already know what they're going to do. There's a guy in Dubai. From the time he left school, he has never looked for a job. It's appointment. And that's why we say that when you find your family and you know the family you belong to, what you will be getting is appointment, right? But if you don't know where you belong, right, what you will be getting, you know, is employment. You'll be looking for employment up and down. What employment should I get? What do I get here? But when you find the family you belong to, it's appointment. And that's why they say that when you are not on the table, you're on the menu. So you need to dig deep into your ancestry and recover your superpower. Number two, you need to create an empowering story from the ashes of the past. Yes, your family may have a bit of some idols they worship, but that was what they knew. Why were they worshiping idols? They were trying to find God, right? And if you look at Africa historically, my mother said to me that prior to the time Christianity became pronounced in Western Nigeria, that she will go to the market in the 1940s or 1940s. You go to the market, the person selling the stuff is not there, but you see the price of what is being sold. Let's say rice. You saw the price of the rice. You put the money there. You carry the rice. Nobody stole the money. And that was before born again. That was before Pentecostalism. That was before, oh, you have to be born again or Islam or anything, right? Became this pronounced. Honesty was a way of life for Africans. Purity was a way of life for Africans. Originally, African ladies have to be virgins before they get married because they will have to spread the white. That was before Christianity. So nobody should tell us that it was religion that made us sane. No, our forefathers practiced some of these things before any religion came. God has given everybody something. So don't let anybody lie to you, right? You couldn't steal. Way back, where I grew up in Ijebu land, in Nigeria, there's what they call ayelala. If you stole something, they will just give you that water. If you were the one, if you don't confess, your tummy began to protrude. These things were real way back. So you want to create an empowering story from the ashes of your past. For example, when I figure, my father is from a place called Idoani. Idoani was founded by the king, son of King Eware, right? So in sharing my story, I would say that I'm from, my children know we're from a village called Idoani, which is an extension of Benin Kingdom. So Benin Kingdom was one of the most sophisticated kingdoms and is a kingdom that has produced XYZ number of people. Benin Kingdom is in a place called Nigeria, the Africa's most populous black nation. And Nigeria is the nation that has produced the Wole Soyinkas of this world, blah, blah, blah. Nigeria is in Africa, which is where the cradle of civilization. You know, the story is very clear, very inspiring. So now that it's Black, last month was Black African month, Black month in Canada, my children were learning about African heroes, right? So you need to create an empowering story. Don't let your children demonize Africa. Don't let them feel Africa is a bad place, a useless place. Do you know if you go to Singapore, you will see sacrifice at a three-part way. You will see sacrifice on the road. Singapore, and Singapore is a first world country. So don't let anybody make Africa feel like Africa. You can create an inspiring story out of a negative story. That is why anybody who says to you, you know, there's a cause that is affecting you, you know, it causes generational causes, you can become the owner of the generational blessing. What did our forefathers do that Germany did not do? Germany tried to exterminate an entire Jew, but Germany is one of the most prosperous economies in Europe today. What did they do that England that disintegrated the entire continent of Africa through colonization, but England is still prospering? So don't let anybody attach anything and say it was what our forefathers, all the sins they were committing was to sleep with people, other people's wives. That was the biggest sin they were committing, or to kill somebody for sacrifice. Right? So they are not the worst of all people. In fact, what they are doing in their sacrifice is not different from what was happening in Exodus and Numbers and Leviticus. It's not totally different. But the way we have created our own, we did a research about last year, and we're looking at the gods of various nations, right? And we look at Zeus. Zeus is the god of, thunder and the god of the sky, according to the Greek mythology. But everything they wrote about him was his strength. But Zeus has 5 weaknesses. 1, he loves women. Number 2, he has anger problem. Number 3, he overestimates his ability. About 5 of them. Then we wanted to check, when we checked Shango in Nigeria, all the positive attributes and the negative attributes of Shango were the same as Zeus. We decided to check Amadioha. Same strength, same weaknesses. Then we realized that there are about 19 other people in various generations, in various cultures, who also have similar strengths and weaknesses. And we concluded that what these people have done is to magnify the strength of Zeus and behave as if he has no weakness. Meanwhile, all Africa has done is to magnify the weaknesses of Shango and Amadioha and the rest of them and pretend as if they don't have any strength. So we have become experts at demonizing our great people, right? And then we are undermining their own strength. So you need to create an empowering story, where you begin to tell positive story. You can create your own story. Number 3, you want to create a framework that transforms your present and the future of your ancestry. Now, you need to, from tonight, say to yourself, I am going to be the custodian of the generational blessing for generations unborn. So you start by creating a framework to say, this is where I want to be. This is where we are. What do we need to do from where we are to where we need to be? Now, this is an entire framework that we have created. We've run 2 cohorts of this last year. We have people like Udwak in class. We are creating a new community of African parenting, right? And so we start with house cleaning. We audit everything in your family. Then we do personal transformation. If you are, and this is a roadmap you can do by yourself, but we usually do it as a group, right? So if I say framework, this is a framework you can do. Personal transformation is where you heal from your trauma. If you have childhood trauma, if you have pains that you have not dealt with, maybe you went through divorce pain, maybe you went through childhood pain, maybe you will deal with that in that session. Then you go to understanding parenting and beyond parenting. How do you define parenting? How do you create a parenting charter? You do that there. Then you move to child discovery and scripting. Who is your child? How do you run simple personality assessment to know who your child is? And how do you create what we call your child user's manual? It's an entire document that demystifies who your child is. How do you correct the child? How do you handle the child? All the people that work with you, your domestic help, how do they relate with your child? Then you now start to work on creating the right environment. What kind of systems do you need to put in place in your family? Then you go to effective parenting and family communication. Based on the outcome you want, how must you talk? How must you correct each other? How must you look at things? Then you go to family development matrix. This is where you create your domestic educational system, right? So for example, in my family, we say every child is a royalty. So we have an entire domestic management system of curriculum that the children study every day. I recommend once a week, right? Of global people that transform the world and what they need to learn about it. So you create a curriculum there. Then family recreation and relaxation system. How do you go on vacation? During vacation, what does every age group needs to do? Then you go into creating an effective constitution. Your family is a nation. Your family needs constitution, right? You create that there. Let me say this before I go on, that you are the first generation that will do this. Your children will learn by observation. They won't need to redo anything. You'll just pass it to them. They can pass it to their children. You can even create a family museum where all these things are passed. So if people say that, hey, they passed us generational courses, we can pass on generational blessing by taking responsibility. Then you go to domestic management system, audit and implementation, right? Where you check everything in your family to see how excellent they are and how system-based they are. Then domestic immigration and security system. How do you ensure no child from your family is a victim of child sexual abuse, is a victim of molestation and whatever? Then lastly, from family to a tribe, how do you turn your family into a tribe, which is cultural integration? Now, this is the entire framework that the Indians have lived out, the Jews have lived out, the Chinese are now living out, that has made them global power. You need to install all of this in your family. And so this is what we've decided to do. We are going to work together with those of you who are interested across the next 1 year. But the first thing we are going to do is we're going to run all the system in 12 or 13 weeks, thereabout. And please, you need to understand that this is not one of those programs that you just join and you go mute. No, if you join and you don't do what you're supposed to do, there will be consequence, right? Because we are only interested in the people who want to get it right, right? And so if you are signing up for this 13 weeks from sometimes in March, I think second or third week, every Sunday evening thereabout, we're going to be in class together. You will learn a teaching, then you will learn what to go and do across the next 1 week. Then you come and do the next one. So we'll be checking, we'll be working as a group and be checking your family and be sure we put pressure on you to ensure that you do what you need to do. When we have finished the 13 weeks, we will all now stay in the group for the next 1 year to be checking, tracking. If you have any question, oh, this is where my child is behaving, I need help. You find help in the group almost immediately, right? That is what we have decided to do. So if this interests you, I'm going to take some of your questions so you can start asking your questions right now. If this interests you, we call it the New African Ancestors VIP Community Parenting. What we're doing is we are also going to put people who are within the same radius together. So if you are in Cape Town, for example, you are going to be with people who are in Cape Town, you know, and you are going to even have some physical meetings together where you do stuff together and check and cross notes. You are going to work with a workbook. If you are in, let's say you are in Accra, you are going to work with the people in Accra. If you are in Akwa Ibom, you're going to work with people in Akwa Ibom. You know, basically, we are all working together to get it right. Now, there are two groups, right? The silver plan is 200,000 naira, right? We've made it very affordable. The gold plan is 500,000 naira. Now, it's very simple. What do you need to do? The difference between the gold plan is gold people have dedicated coaches working with them. 200 silver plan, you are working with a general group, which is still good. You're still going to get the same result, right? But gold plan has dedicated coaches working with them. So if you want to join this, you can sign up. If you pay 100,000 naira, you know, you are already signed up. Then you can spread the remaining of your payment later. You can use the link they are sharing with you. Trust me, this is the cheapest program we have ever done. And you see, at the beginning of the year, we said we are raising 1,000 family life professionals across Africa. This is March. We already have over 120 of them in class. We are going to go across African countries. Now, this is a parenting community we are creating. You join our community, we're going to load you with all the materials you need, all the mentoring you need, all the coaching you need, but you have to do the work. So please, you can't join any of the group and be passive. So if you know you won't do the work, even if you have money, don't pay, right? But if you know that you want to be that person who is called out from your family to become a generational blessing and to master how to build system for generation unborn, so go right now and sign up. I can't wait to have you in class. All the coaches are going to be working with you around the year. We're going to be responding. Once you are in, what you are paying for is access. Right? You will do the 13 weeks, right? Which starts later this month. And then you will be in the group. If you have any question, you can ask. Somebody's going to respond to you. If you need any support, we're going to support you. If your child needs scholarship, we will tell you this is where you can get scholarship. This is what you need to do. Your child is dealing with this. There are coaches who are going to work with you. So you can go right now and sign up. You have all it takes to make this work. So guys, you can go ahead right now and ensure, just click on the link and go sign up. Let me tell you, and this is what I tell people. You see, I had a meeting many years ago, and I'll take your question for those of you who have questions. It was in Redemption Camp. Mommy Gio, the wife of Pastor Adeboye, had invited me to Redemption Camp. And I was talking about the sexualization of our children in Africa. How I had gone to 13 states and I met 7-year-olds who were sexually active. And when I was sharing these stories, for what is what, somebody felt I was exaggerating. He said, it's not possible. In fact, there was a federal minister in Nigeria who said a 7-year-old cannot have erection. But these were stories I'd personally handled. You know, like I told you, I've spent 24 years in this field. And then there was a material we have done, sexuality education, what to teach a child about sex from 18 months to 18 years. So everybody signing up to this program, you're going to have access to that program as well. It's part of what we're going to give to you, right? What to teach your child about sex from 18 months to 18 years with songs and all those things. So people bought. This woman did not get it. She said in her words that I was exaggerating. Now she's got 3 children. She has a 13-year-old, she's got a 9-year-old and a 6-year-old. And so 3 months later, someone started to call me. So I picked the call. I said, Praise, I need to see you. It's a matter of just life and death. I said, what was it? So I booked an appointment with her. She came to my office. Guess what had happened? She woke up to pray at night and decided to go and anoint her children and saw 2 of her children having sex. She literally lost it, and herself and her husband, as in they beat the children, beat them. So they eventually showed up. So by showing up, we need to take the children through therapy. Now, what she did not buy was 7,000 naira. Each session of therapy was going to be 20,000, and they would need to do 10 sessions, right? 10 sessions, 200,000. And she said to me, she said, Praise, I was penny wise, pounds foolish, right? I tell people, I work in America. I do not handle any case that is less than 10,000 naira, $10,000 at the moment, right? If the case is not $10,000, I'll get my coaches to work with the person, right? And that's why I'm saying that this is a highly discounted. And the good thing is that once you master it, right, you can also apply to set up a center, you know, to begin to teach other people. So you can actually become an expert and learn to make your money back if you master the process, because we have to ensure that you've mastered the process. So you need to understand that nothing is too, this is less than the average school fees that anybody can pay. So if you have friends, families that need to sign up and join, go ahead, share the link with them, sign up, and let us know that we can transform the future of Africa together. Let me tell you my final word, and I'll take any question that is available. Now, I'll say this to you. The future of our world is under contention. If you have been following the news, you can see everything happening. Challenges are everywhere. The world is moving towards year 2040. New technological advancement. Africa has one of the youngest populations in the world. So which means African children have got the potential to become global leaders in the future. But the biggest problem is that African children are distracted. So what has Korea and China, what have they done? They have gotten their young people to create games. So you see how many hours our children spend on games. They are playing the games. They are not thinking of inventing the games. So they are distracted. That's affecting the academics. So a child that should have straight A's is having B's. Why? He's spending time playing games. The parents are not aware because a system has not been built. The child is not aware of who he is, and the child is not aware of their heritage. So history is going to repeat itself. We are literally going to replicate ourselves, and we are going to raise a confused generation who are going to be second in command to the other people from the other side. We have a chance to rewrite that history and learn how to build systems. Now, don't tell me, oh, Praise, I don't have money. Think about how can you afford it. Now, and if you don't have money, I've already taught you something today that you can go and do. But you see, people ask, why do we charge? We charge because we need serious people in class. And number 2, because we're going to give you materials that is way, way, way more than what you can ever pay. Right? You will see it yourself. And you will see how rich and robust the program is. Right? And that is what we can do to assist ourselves and get it right. I hope you join today. Right? And I hope I see all of you in class when we start later this month. But we're going to keep you in the group for the next 1 year. All your parenting needs that you're likely going to have, you will not need to pay anything extra because there will be someone in the group who can respond to you. Guys, we are the ancestor of a new generation, and we are the one who needs to transform Africa. So you can sign up with 100,000 naira and then spread the rest of your payment later. Right. So how many of you am I seeing in class? Can you type hi? If I'm going to see you, can you type hi? Okay, good. Has locked down. Someone said, can you spread the money into 20 monthly, please? If that is you, Messi, you're asking that question, you can call the number. You can chat up the number. They will work out something for you. I'm sure they can work out something for you. But remember, you have to be serious about this. You have to do this. Okay? So I can see the eyes. Well done, well done, well done. Let me see more eyes. You come into class. If you need to spread your payment, they'll make it happen for you. Jessica is asking, where does one start from? Damaged contractor raising children with zero system, and now they are adult. Jessica, you can become the grandparent to their own children. So the first thing I'm going to let you do is you have to go and apologize to them. Let them know that you did the best you could with what you knew. You were not a bad mother. You did the best you could. And let them know that you are learning new information. Hope they don't mind if you can help them, right? Part of what you can do for them, you can sign them up for this particular class, or you can attend for yourself and now implement it with their own children. You can still call a family meeting and tell them what you're learning and all those things. So that's where somebody said, where's the next class? This is a once in a year session. It's once in a year that we do this, but we are kept in the group for the next. So maybe you want to do it in 2026, but then it's not going to be cheaper than this, right? This program, we've done it way more than this. So people are buzzing me. I want to spread my payment in 10 equal months. If that is you want to spread 10 equal months, please chat up the number. Is this fee for a couple? Yes, it's for a couple. Chat up the number. Please, admin, can you share your number they can chat you up with for those asking to spread? That's the number. Please send an SMS to that. Can I spread the payment for 5 months? Yes, you can. If you are spreading your payment, chat up the number, please. Chat up the number. That's what you need to do. We will, if you are honest enough, we will do everything to ensure that you take the class. Usually the problem we have is that people say we'll spread, and after a while they're not spreading. But please, you don't just, even if you have money, it's not enough. You have to be willing to put in the work, because it's a lot of work that you need to adjust in your family. But don't worry, when you get it right, your children will be secured for life, and then they would also teach their children. This class is a once in a year class. So if you don't join the March, forget it for us. Maybe wait till next year. So thank you very much. What's the work involved? There'll be class assignment. We'll take a class, teach you what to do. For the next 1 week, you have to do it. So that's the work that is involved. It's not some serious work that will take you everywhere. A simple assignment might be, look for someone in your family who is elderly and ask them questions about your history. That's a simple task, for example, right? But you have to put in the work. So thank you, Africa. I hope you have learned something. I'm going to hand over back to this